It's another Saturday. Well, actually, we used to do this on Sundays, but hey, we're kicking off the season in style. College Football Saturday, the one and only College Football Saturday edition of the Tailgate. I got Shane Deef. I got Bo Brock. I got Johnny Venerable with me. I'm Saul Bookman. Let's roll the intro. Saul Bookman, Marcos Deniza Padre, South Mountain Community College Cougar, and best of all, a Wildcat from the University of Arizona.
Johnny Venerable, Maricopa, Arizona. We have a Denny's and an IHOP.
Bo Brock, the Harvard of Maricopa County, Scottsdale Community College, Fighting Artichokes.
Shane Diefenbach, North Scottsdale Circus School of Arizona. Honk, honk.
Fantastic
wow.
intro. We have stepped our game up this year.
We've upgraded.
Wow.
We've upgraded to a scat back.
I'll never forget when Saul Bookman called me a year before we launched and said, "Hey, we got to do a Sunday tailgate show. Are you interested in being a part of it?" I said, "Sure." And then we spent all year attempting to film something behind a green screen, and it did not look like that. So we have upgraded. We're ready to rock and roll this fall.
That's absolutely
How about
beautiful.
just Bookman just
show,
looking
baby.
off the safety, man? That was amazing. I mean, you just kept him at bay and you just dropped the dime down the field. It was beautiful. I'm pumped to be here, man. I mean, considering what we did what I tied on last night and then this morning, I'm ready to roll, guys. Let's go.
Absolutely. So pumped up to have you guys here. If you don't know this show, it's all football show. It's the best football show in the country. Let's be honest about that. We are very, very much Arizona focused, but because it's college football and the NFL, we kind of spread the love across both of those entities and try to give you all the information leading up to the games. We're talking fantasy, we're talking props, we're talking a bunch of different things, the information that you want before you start watching your favorite games of the day. So with that being said, let's get straight in to the Hangover. It's a day after First Friday downtown Phoenix, and guys, I was a little I had a few.
Yeah, last night I was home all night, but I had a couple Four Peaks before bed. Got a little weirder than I expected to be, but it was a good night.
Typically on these kind of things, we would be recapping the day of Saturday college football because we'd be doing this on a Sunday morning before NFL college football. But since we don't have that, we are just going to preview everything ahead of us today. But the one game that did already take place was the Arizona State Sun Devil football team taking on NAU. Ooh. I know Shane's a very proud guy right now because they look pretty good. A 40-3 win. Shane, we'll start with you. Your overall thoughts on and takeaways on that game.
Well, yeah, Emory Jones coming from Florida and first came back, just beating a storied program in northern Arizona. No, but in all seriousness, what I was talking about before this game is everyone was always saying this line is really high because it was 24.5 on DraftKings. And I just completely disagreed. I didn't think it was that crazily high. You looked at spreads around the nation, like Cal Poly was favored by like 33 points. Like it just didn't make sense. So I did some research and I went back. U of A was actually favored by 24.5 also last year. So I thought it was a pretty okay spread. I didn't think there was a place where they weren't covering. But in terms of a football perspective, I think they looked great. Emory looked really good. One thing that I think he does a lot better than Jayden Daniels, who we should see today, is go through his progressions. He goes through his reads. And it was really evident on Thursday night, and they got the job done. Defense looked pretty good too.
It amazes me watching that Arizona State team where we were talking about it yesterday, how many pundits have picked them to finish last in the Pac-12. That did not look like a last place Pac-12 team, and I know it was against inferior competition, but you mentioned it. Like Emory Jones is a better pure thrower of the football, I think, than Jayden Daniels, who too much looks like an athlete playing quarterback. That was on display so many times last year. And this young man has the ability to sit in the pocket and make and pick up the easy throws where nothing looked easy for Jayden. I'm not trying to pile on. He's going to play FSU today. He's probably going to light it up because Brian Kelly, frankly, is a better coach than Herm Edwards, especially offensively. No. Oh, yeah. That's a hot take there. But what I will say is this. It would not surprise me at all to see this team win 8 or 9 games if they get the right kind of breaks. I'm going to be honest with you. Their schedule is brutal. But I think this is the perfect place for Herm and company.
Brutal in one sense.
They have ranked teams 3 of the next 4 weeks. I know it's in the Pac-12, but they play real teams. They play Oklahoma State next week. That'll be a big litmus test. They have expectations. The last couple of years, they failed to meet those expectations. I think it could work reverse this year, and they could They could surprise some people. Plus, the conference is down.
I'm not going to be one of those guys like screaming on the bird like it's NAU and you shouldn't be excited about this. It's a big win and you got to take care of business against these small schools. But, I was encouraged by the offense, but the defense, they didn't get home once against NAU. Not one sack, not one QB hurry. They did get the 2 picks, but, when you're going up against the Cowboys and I'm 40 Mike Gundy and that offense next week, like you got to be able to get some pressure. And that's a little concerning in my opinion. But look, celebrate while you can.
Yeah, one last thing I'll say about the pressure thing is they didn't get home, and that's something we touched on. It is a little scary to think about, especially going to Stillwater. But the interior defense was really good. There was a hand on a running back every single time they tried to run anything inside. So that was impressive. But I completely agree, Bo. You need to start getting home. Yeah,
if you don't get home against Oklahoma State, they might put up 80 on you. They're one of the juggernauts on offense in the country, and so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. My overall thoughts were I would have liked to see Emory Jones throw the ball a little bit more, especially against such a subpar defense. You want to get those, those game reps in there a little bit more than that. I'm still not as big a believer in Emory Jones. I think he's just a slightly more athletic version than Jayden Daniels, to be honest with you. And we saw how few yards Jayden Daniels put up last year. And to me, that kind of mirrored what I saw against NAU. But we'll see against Oklahoma State. Hell, the Chippewas just put up a 40 burger on Oklahoma State, so they can be scored on. So if you're ASU and you come out and you lay an egg and don't score that many points, you got major problems moving forward. That's for damn sure. But let's go around. Go ahead, Bo.
I wanted to ask Shane, is there an identity crisis with this team because they want to be defense first and run first? But, with Emory Jones, should they be kind of a passing offense?
That's kind of been what Herm Edwards has an identity crisis. I mean, Jayden Daniels was that guy who had a really good deep ball, but they barely saw it. They always wanted to set up the run, and it's not bad when you're this was 16 straight games where they ran for 100 yards, 100 plus yards. It's impressive, but yeah, I completely get that, and I agree with Saul. It was good that he played up until the last couple drives. But yeah, only 18 passes, I believe 16 of 18. But again, I think the thing to hammer home, sure, they're similar, him and Jayden, and sure, they are both athletes and can be compared. But the thing that Emory definitely has up is the mentality and the football IQ. I feel like he just looks like a different guy back there, way more composed.
It's going to be interesting to see how Jayden Daniels fares at LSU this year versus where Emory just came from at Florida. Both of them will have SEC experience. And at the end of the year, I'd like to see us kind of compare the two and see which one was really the truer quarterback, if you will. So it should be fun. But also join my guy over here, Shane Deef. He is the lead host of the PHNX Sun Devils podcast. So if you want more ASU talk, check them out. They're doing a great job over there. And also Daniel Onyata, if you haven't noticed, is our NIL athlete. He's the man. He's the second string running back for ASU. Put up, I think, 60 yards the other night. Had a decent game. He wanted to touch, but he didn't get one. He'll probably get one against Oklahoma State. Let's be real. So let's go around the rest of the teams of the Pac-12, or a few teams of the Pac-12. Obviously, being biased, we got to talk about U of A. U of A coming into this season, they got to face San Diego State, who absolutely mollywopped them last year at home in Tucson. This year, new stadium out in San Diego. Guys, I know you guys aren't really big U of A guys, but your overall impressions from the perimeter on what this U of A team might be about this year.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm picking them the money line to win this game. I told you that yesterday. We have touched on it, Bo Brock and I. San Diego State has lost too many good players. They had a third-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL draft in Cam Thomas, and I think this is the perfect upset special to kick off this kind of rebuild. I think that you're going to start to see it culminate with some key wins this year. I'm not picking them to finish ahead of ASU like our guy Mike Luke on the Wildcats show, but I do think at the end of the year they're going to be a respectable team on the rise, and this is the kind of victory that can really catapult them into a 500 season. I really do believe this is the year we see U of A begin to take steps coming back to respectability, and today would mark a huge victory over a team in San Diego State. I know they're playing at home, but This game is there to be won for U of A.
Well, I mean, listen, defensively, San Diego State is still reputable.
That's what they hang their hat on. Absolutely.
They had one of the best defenses in the country last year. Brady Hoke is leads their defense on that side.
Wow.
That's my only kind of caveat to this, is that we just don't know enough about U of A right now. We just don't. And that's the wild card. They had so many transfers come in from the portal. But transfers from legitimate programs, you have transfers from USC, Michigan, Ohio State, so there's some talent there. Then you
DJ Williams is a real player.
Absolutely. Then you got Jayden Daniels, who's going to lead them at quarterback. And finally, hopefully this year, we won't have a carousel of 59,000 quarterbacks playing the position like they did a year ago. And then Jacob Cowing coming over from UTEP, one of the best receivers in the country, to lead that side. I do think that the talent has definitely been upgraded. We just don't know how soon it's going to gel together. And I think, to your point, Johnny, if they don't get off to a good start against San Diego State, you just got to wonder about the mentality moving forward, especially with an SEC team like Mississippi State coming in next week. And then you can't sleep on FCS powerhouse North Dakota State the week after. Those are back-to-back home games. And I know Bo's laughing, but I mean, North Dakota State has put out more pro players than a lot of.
I mean, they bust. Trey Lance is going to bust, but that's.
But they also had Christian Watson. They've had Carson Wentz. They've had some legit players. Bo, your thoughts?
I'm putting respect on the Bison's name. Come on, man. I won't disrespect them. Carson Wentz, I think two things can be true at the same time. I like what Jed Fish is doing down in Tucson. I think they're trending in the right direction. But the other thing that's true is they're not going to go into San Diego State and win. I mean, when they're opening up that new stadium, they wanted U of A to come. They wanted to have kind of an easy win. They're going to get that. You'll see better play, but I don't think it's going to happen. You can see probably better play from the quarterback position and Delora, but they're not winning this game. I don't see that happening, but it doesn't mean that if you're a Wildcat fan, that you shouldn't be excited about the future.
They have a transfer quarterback from Virginia Tech. I think his name is Braxton Burnmeister. Does San Diego State. Did you get a look at Virginia Tech's football program lately? It's ass. They just lost to Old Dominion, so I'm not buying this kid being a world beater. Now, I think San Diego State returns, as Saul mentioned, 6 or 7 starters on defense. That's where this game is going to be won. It's going to be ugly. Take the under. I think we're going to have a lot of punts in this game, but I think it's going to be a one-possession game entering the fourth quarter.
I've been thinking about the under this whole week, but the one thing after I watched Colorado last night, you talk about a team that's supposed to finish last in the Pac-12. It's not going to be U of A. It's going to be Colorado. Because after seeing last night, you know what you're going to get from Colorado. Today, you have no idea what you're getting from U of A, except the fact that Jayden Daniels is a really, really solid college quarterback. I mean, him at Washington State last year, offensive Pac-12 freshman of the year, he was good. He can run, he can throw. And as you said, Johnny, on the other side of the ball, what were his stats last year? Braxton Burmeister, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,900 yards. It's nothing. You're getting a better quarterback play from Arizona, and obviously Jacob Cowing, top 10 receiver last year in the NCAA in yards. It's going to be interesting. The one thing you can count on is this is not U of A's offense of the past. So I'm super fired up to watch this game.
For sure. Burnmeister.
Bo Nix transfers from Auburn.
Turn me up.
Comes all the way across the country to Oregon just to go all the way back to the other side of the country and face Georgia in Georgia today. The kickoff classic. Guys, Oregon, obviously, listen, there's 2 games today to me that kind of encapsulate the Pac-12 and what it could be this year. It is the Utah at Florida game, and then it's this one, Oregon at Georgia. You're talking about the Pac-12's very best versus the SEC's best from a year ago, the defending national champs. There's a lot of stuff going on the line. Georgia right now, as last time I looked, is an 8-point favorite at home. Obviously, home field advantage, in the shrubs matters for Georgia. Guys, what are we thinking about the Ducks this year?
Well, Georgia's 17-point faves. They are like, and I'm taking the dogs against the spread. I think Oregon covers.
Yeah.
If you guys listen to me, you guys know how much I love my chaotic quarterbacks, and Bo Nix is nothing short of that. Bo Nix can do the most wild thing in the world and get on highlight tapes all over the country. And then you look at his stats, and he threw for 113 yards, 3 touchdowns somehow, and 4 interceptions, and they won the game by 20. You're like, what's going on here? I love that he came to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 needs more strange quarterbacks and not just pocket passers that you're like, okay, he was good for a couple years. I love that Bo Nix is at Oregon, and I hope Oregon can return to Oregon of the past in 2010, because that just made the Pac-12 so much better. This is a great game to watch. I'm super excited for this. I've already bet Oregon plus 17, but we'll see. Georgia's obviously the defending champion. Georgia's also still very good. They returned a lot more players than you would think. This game's going to be a banger.
Mario Cristobal was the best head coach they've had since Chip Kelly, and they will see a significant drop-off with his departure. And I know you guys are high on this young man, this quarterback transfer. Keely Ringo is the NFL draft's top cornerback right now. Could be a future Arizona Cardinal if the season goes awry.
And what high school did he go to?
I don't know. What high school did he go to?
Saguaro High School right here in the Valley.
Wow. Damn, I didn't know that.
There you go.
Keely Ringo, cornerback for the Dogs, could have a couple interceptions today if things go awry. I'm with Shano. I think the Dogs cover. I think it's ugly. I think Oregon gets a rude awakening and they go back kind of being a middling team, which you hate to see because I think we're in our final days of the Pac-12. Shane and I talked about it yesterday, but I am not buying this higher for Oregon. I think they should have. When you lose out to Miami in the ACC for your head coach and you're competing or you were competing for Final Four berths and playoff berths.
Whoa. Chill. Mario Cristobal came from where?
I don't remember.
He came from Miami. He went back to his alma mater. That's the only reason why he left. He wouldn't have gone to Miami if it wasn't his alma mater. Nobody leaves Oregon to go to Miami. Not now. Maybe back in the early 2000s when fucking, Andre or Ed Reed and shit were playing back there, but not right now. Come on now. Don't slander my Pac-12 brethren.
Yeah, Dan Lanning came from Georgia. You don't think Kirby Smart's going to know exactly what to do to Dan Lanning today against this team, his brethren? I think it's going to be ugly. I would be surprised if Oregon scored more than 20 points.
Bo?
This is easy. I mean, Bo Nix is like the Cliff Kingsbury of college football right now. Like the beloved son goes to his. He grew up in Mississippi, went to Ole Miss. He was at the games, and somehow he doesn't end his career there. He's in Eugene. He's playing for the Ducks as far away from Oxford as possible. It's just very odd. I mean, it's got to be the weirdest divorce of all time. Bo Nix for his top 20 defenses, and Georgia sure shit's going to have one. 54% completion percentage. He throws a pick a game, under a touchdown a game. He's 3-9 against top 20 defenses. This thing can happen. And Stetson Bennett is going to be the best quarterback in the game. And that's not saying too much. You know who I'm excited to see this for the second straight season? And I'm going to watch this guy every game until he gets drafted. Brock Bowers. That guy is a beast tight end. He's going to be like a top 3 pick in the NFL draft at the tight end position.
Well, you mentioned Bo Nix against top 25 defenses. Bo Nix against Georgia themselves has not been very good either. Only 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions in 3 games against them. It's going to take a lot more. But as I said, this is just because I love the chaos that Bo Nix brings. He's an X factor, and 17 points is a lot of points.
Hey, you know who else is an X factor? Stetson Bennett, drunk on Good Morning America after they won the national championship. Do you think he's still hungover from that game? That was the last time we saw Stetson.
He could be, and they still roll. He could be, and they still roll.
He could have
even without George Pickens.
Utah going out to Florida today, guys. I know the money line right now has Utah as the favorite by 2.5. I have reservations because I have forever felt like Utah is the lifelong fraud of the Pac-12. I just have never been a believer in what they can do. Every time you need them to come through, I feel like they always choke. Even last year in the Rose Bowl when they were up by goddamn 35 points and blew it in the fourth quarter against Ohio State. Now they're going out to the most humid part of the country ever, and they got playing Gainesville. against a Florida Gators team who has a lot of athletes on the defensive side of the ball. Kyle Whittingham trying to get the dub. I just don't believe in Utah. Somebody talk me down from that.
Cameron Rising is my daddy. Cameron Rising is a good college quarterback.
Is he?
Yeah.
But Anthony Richardson might be a better one.
Anthony Richardson is fantastic. Anthony Richardson is lightning in a bottle.
There's a reason why Emory Jones left Florida.
I'm very aware. He is a very good quarterback. But Cameron Rising is proven. He's grounded. He's a college quarterback that has seen everything. I don't think anything is going to phase him. Not going into SEC country. Not at all. I'm a huge believer in this Utah team. And yeah, they've had their chokes in the past, but this is week 1. They're going to make a statement, and they do it on the ground. I think they impose their will today. I think they cover 2.5.
This is Utah. This is what Utah is. Utah is the Whole Foods version of ASU. Like, they're like always 2 or 3 wins better than ASU, but they always choke when you need them to come through the most. And that's what I think of Utah. Like, ASU fans will tell you, like, they'll be on a roll and you're feeling good, and then they always let you down. That's what Utah is, but at a higher level.
There's a couple of things that I'm dealing with here. Anthony Richardson is an absolute pro prospect playing the quarterback position, but then it's like Billy Napier is Dan Mullen. Mm-hmm. He's Jim McElwain. Remember him? Yeah. Guy who, we thought was hugging a shark naked. Remember that whole story on social media?
They're all the same people.
Right.
They're all the same
Will
people.
Muschamp. It's like these guys come out and, they're just watered down versions of the previous guy. I just think, I think this is a good recipe for Utah to go on the road in the swamp and surprise people. I think that one thing, Saul, I would say they are good at that. When they're flying under the radar, they can come in and surprise some people. And this is just one of those games where I think that the Utes can not only just cover 2.5, but get it done.
Yeah, I think Utah wins, and you can tease that spread up to 5 or 6 because Florida sucked defensively last year, and they've got a bunch of transfer portal kids. 170 yards given up average on the ground last year. That was 10th in the SEC. Awful for a Florida team that boasts all these supremely gifted athletes up front on the line of scrimmage, and then you flip it on the other side. I know it was against the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 right now is the redheaded stepchild of the Power 5 conferences. Yeah. However, Utah put up almost 40 points per game, 500 yards per offense against Pac-12 opponents last year. I don't think they quite do that, but I could definitely see something to the vicinity of like 35-23 is the final score for this one.
Plus, we know Tavion Thomas is going to get his against this run defense. I mean, he had 21 touchdowns last year. There's no way he's not going to be a factor today.
Utah is a low-key NFL factory. Like, you look top 100 prospects, they're going to have 3 or 4 of them.
For sure. Absolutely.
It was Cardinal, Javelin, Guidry.
Lecky Fotu? Come on.
Let's wrap this up by going to a couple other key games. 2 top 25 matchups are facing 2 teams in the top 25. One of them is Notre Dame at Ohio State. I would say this is the bell cow of the day. Notre Dame, a significant underdog on the road in Buckeye country. I think it's up minus 16.5 right now. Ohio State, listen, probably one of the best offenses in the country, and not probably. They have been the best offense in the country for the last 5-6 years. CJ Stroud trying to lead that team. In Jigba at the wideout position, a fantastic receiver, one of my favorites in the country. Does Notre Dame even have a chance with Marcus Freeman as their new head coach?
No. This is very similar to Oregon. They're going to go back to a middling team, 7 and 8 wins per season. Ohio State, I think even more so than Georgia and Alabama, I'm not saying they're going to win it all, has the most loaded college football roster led by Heisman. I think guarantees CJ Stroud. I could see the Buckeyes putting together an undefeated regular season en route for Stroud to have a historic year, en route to being the number 1 pick overall. Brian Kelly did more with less at Notre Dame, where you can't get the supremely gifted 5-star recruits that want to come. We just watched the Manti Te'o documentary. Anybody watch that on Netflix? This is the biggest indictment of Notre Dame and why kids don't want to go there anymore. So I think we're going to start to see that now. Why would you go there when you can go to the South, when you can go to the West Coast? Notre Dame is about to have a dark time. I like their new head coach. I like he's paid his dues right. I think he's
you can't be both. You can't like Marcus Freeman and think that they're going to suck for years.
I can, but Brian Kelly, and we're going to see it with your boy down in LSU, Mr. Shane Diefenbach does more with less offensively. How many guys did he get drafted? How many quarterbacks did he elevate that would go on to be ass at the NFL level? That you do more with less, you get my attention. And I'm sorry, Notre Dame is in for a rude awakening today. I think it's an ugly blowout.
I'm not going to be as dramatic as you saying they're 7-8 win team.
Yeah.
I think they just need to find an X-factor.
Grossly overrated. Fifth in the country. No flipping chance.
I think they need to find an X factor to replace Kyle Hamilton on defense for sure. But I still think this is a good Notre Dame team. With that being said, this is going to be one of the most disappointing college football games of the day. I don't think it's going to be close. I think CJ Stroud is going to have his Heisman game to start the year. And Totri is going to be very sad when Notre Dame loses by 30 points.
Is he the leprechaun on the sideline today? Are they putting
Oh, wow. That's short on short crime right there.
Go, man.
No, I love
What has America become?
You got to prop your boy up.
Oh my gosh.
If we stand on each other's shoulders, we can high five Shane.
You can go not get carded at a convenience store for beer.
That's
just
right.
in a trench coat
Couldn't
together.
you see Totri out there with the hat on doing the little jig? You know?
But what do you think of this game?
Oh man, I think the highlight of this game was actually Notre Dame's uniform unveiling, like the Hangover parody that they did for that was great. But I think unfortunately you're probably right. This is not going to be a great game. I'm not as down on the Fighting Irish. I think that Ohio State, they learned last year that you can't start slow. They had the loss to Oregon. CJ Stroud is just poised for another Heisman type campaign. I like the Buckeyes in this one.
Yeah, I like the Buckeyes too. I don't like the Buckeyes to cover that spread. I do like Notre Dame's defense. I think they will hang in there. It's just offensively. Can they at least somewhat keep pace offensively? That's the biggest question mark in this game to me. And to go back to Johnny and his erratic point earlier. Listen, Marcus Freeman is a different kind of dude, and he brings a different kind of energy to Notre Dame, and I think it's a much needed change of energy to Notre Dame. For the longest time, you've had these crusty ass coaches that believe in the telestrator on a fucking on a big blow up screen instead of using digital technology. I don't even know if Brian Kelly even knows what a fucking cell phone is. So Marcus Freeman, obviously, the day he got hired and the hype video that came with it, it's something memorable for recruits, and I think that's going to start to turn Notre Dame around to keep them in that top 5 conversation in a habitual national championship contender.
They've been playing win-win for the Gipper for like 50, 60 years.
Yeah, like,
it's
dude,
nice.
nobody gives. Dude, these kids don't even know who the fuck Rudy is. Like, just move on.
Marcus Freeman in the SEC succeeds. Marcus Freeman is set up to fail at Notre Dame because Notre Dame, I think, is a dying brand in this country, and we're going to start to see its deterioration now.
There's a reason why. Dude, there's a reason why televisions, or not television stations, but networks desperately want Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
Not for long.
For all that money. Oh, God.
Johnny, people have been saying that for 2 decades.
Listen, I'll say this too. Like, I take no stock in what Johnny Venerable says because last year he called Cincinnati frauds and they got all the way to the CFP.
Well, what happened in the
I don't give a shit how many players were drafted this year from that Cincinnati team who happens to face Arkansas today.
Well, we'll do a litmus test. We'll do a graphic mid-year check on those rookies from Cincinnati. But again, I don't have a problem with Notre Dame as a program, and I think they're going to be viable. But they were national contenders with Brian Kelly. Did they ever win it? No, but they got to several Final Fours. Those days are over. You are not getting back to the college football playoff until 2026 when they expand to 12 teams. Maybe you'll be a fringe team then, maybe.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Anyway, Cincinnati at Arkansas. I tried to make that segue and you went back. Hey, listen. Cincinnati, the darling last year of the college football world. They were the underdog. They're the non-Power 5 school, blah, 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 blah. But now they're going to Arkansas, and Arkansas is one of those up-and-coming teams. If you don't believe it, you need to check the stats because they have got a solid squad all the way across the board. Obviously, last year they had Treylon Burks. Yeah. He's gone. But they have a legit team out there in the SEC. Arkansas, Cincinnati, thoughts?
So I first of all, I just want to open up. I have Arkansas -6.5. I picked them this morning, but what scares me is going through KJ Jefferson's stats, especially without Treylon Burks. The last time we saw KJ Jefferson play was, against Penn State, where he ran for 110 yards but he only threw for 98. And that's because Traylon Burks didn't play. You go to the SEC championship or the last game against Missouri. I mean, he threw for 262 yards, and Traylon Burks played, and he had 7 receptions for 129. There's no Traylon Burks this year. He is now in the NFL. You're gonna have to figure out a way to score. They got some good recruits. They have some guys that can fill in, but last year they didn't really have a good number 2 receiver. So I'm interested to see what he looks like without Traylon Burks. I don't think Cincinnati is anywhere close to what they were last year, though. So I think Arkansas does cover in this game.
Can I do? You guys know I'm a man of many impressions. I'm going to do my first impression of the tailgate season.
Do we know that? Is that a thing?
Who am I right now? I got my laptop out. I'm Luke Fickell updating my resume at halftime. I'm out of Cincy. They're going to lose to the Razorbacks. The dream is over. The run is over, and Fickell's gone. Yeah, give me
going after one bad game. Jesus, he just went to the CFP last year.
He did, and he realizes, okay, we got a glass ceiling here at Cincy. Let's go to some of those Power 5 programs that are really going to be after me this season.
All right. Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Cincinnati be unranked for the rest of the year.
You're never today. A believer, Johnny.
Well, then again, I should say they get to play their little cupcake conference, so who knows? They might get overvalued again. But Luke Fickell did. Bo Brock, you took the words right out of my mouth. You talk about blowing it when you have an opportunity to cash out and cash in on your success, and you don't. And what you've accumulated and accomplished all that you can, and give him credit. Yeah. He squeezed that orange to the point where undefeated regular season, right? They had a couple marquee victories last year. But then you got walloped by the SEC. Go and try to win at a bigger school in a better conference with better players, and then we can judge you on how good a coach you are. It reminds me of what's his name at Boise State all those years before he went to Washington. It's just
Peterson.
Make Chris Peterson.
Yeah, how'd that work out for him?
They were decent at Washington.
They got to the CFP once.
Yeah, they were decent at Washington.
But Boise State has been a solid program for a long time, and then once
job security is, you don't want to move your family and that kind of thing. I get that. And you want to be a perennial bowl team. That's fine. But some of us are in it for the big thing. We're in it to win it all, the natty. And if you feel like you're
Johnny? Feels like Johnny. Feels like Johnny's right here just waiting for a bigger offer from another.
Yeah, I think Johnny wants to coach.
It's time to go play with the
I am always
guys.
looking to upgrade. I am always looking to cast people aside for my own personal gain.
Oh, well,
you got to be selfish.
Johnny.
Come on, Luke.
All right. That's the end of the hangover. I think that's a good play. Actually, you know what? One more thing. Jayden Daniels at LSU facing Florida State at home in Death Valley today. Jayden Daniels, what do you think, Shane?
Go to the source.
Is he going to play? Do we know yet? Is he the starter?
Brian
Kelly hasn't announced it yet. He's going to be the starter. I think it's hilarious that he hasn't announced it yet. I'm excited to see him play because obviously Brian Kelly, not only a whisperer in his recruits' ears when standing behind them in hype videos, but he's also a quarterback whisperer. He's very good at that. So I think Jayden is going to be improved. Obviously, his mom thinks so, but I'm excited to see what he can do. As I said, I'm in love with his deep ball. I think he makes some okay decisions. I think he's too quick to jump out of the pocket, but against SEC competition, we'll see. I think they win today, but I don't know. I wish him the best. That's all I'm going to say.
This game has one of the lowest over-unders of all the Power 5 schools going head-to-head at just under 49.5. I think that tells you that both teams are going to struggle offensively, and it could be a work in progress for whomever starts for LSU. You remember those first couple games in the early years for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. It takes a while to get your offense up and running. I know he's got a supremely gifted group of athletes compared to what he had at Notre Dame, but I think it's going to take some time. I actually like the under in this game.
Bo?
Mike Norvell. Remember Mike Norvell? Deputy head coach for the Arizona State Sun Devils. He wore cornrows at one point. He's still going to struggle to get out of the gates for the Seminoles. I think LSU, they bounce back a little bit. They get a little bit better coaching than Norvell. Something we've been pulling for a little bit, but I think it's all Noles.
Well, we just gave you a slew of opportunities.
Tigers.
Yeah, Tigers. Yeah. We just gave you a slew of picks and spreads. And just a reminder, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code PHNX and put any $5 on any game. Any one of these games we picked or any other ones that you see on the app, you get $200 in free bets just like that. It's easy money. It's free money. Might as well use it. A lot of us have been using it. Shane uses it like every day, and so does Johnny on their bet show. But like I said, it's a fantastic app. It's so easy to use. It's user intuitive. And again, $200 free in your pocket if you just place $5 on any bet using promo code PHNX. So pick a game, win some money. It's that simple. All right. Jacob is waiting in the fold for our next segment. Survey says Cerveza. Yes, sir. We need a beer. We need some beer on that graphic.
Yeah, it's a lot of red. It's just a lot of red on there. There's no beer.
I think it looks great.
But Jacob, live from the dungeon. What do you got for us today, huh?
This is only fitting that you only bring me in for the nerdy stuff. Let's just bring in the nerd for the nerdy stuff. But for those of you who don't remember the tailgate last year, Survey says Cerveza. I'm going to ask the guys some questions. If they get it wrong, they have to take a drink. I don't know if any one of them has a drink right now, or if they drank too much last night.
I have a cold brew.
Actually, I'll go get one.
Yeah, we can. I might just ask my first question while he's gone, but
sure.
No, I'll wait.
I'm texting my wife to bring me a beer.
Yeah, is it too early?
If I texted my wife to do that at 9:30 a.m., I would get punched.
Let's see.
It works out better for you.
Yeah, that makes great streams. Come on, why not?
I actually kind of want to see Johnny get punched. Johnny, try it.
Oh, that's fun.
Sorry about that.
All right, what's our first question, Jacob?
Your first question. So, Lord of the Rings is making noise right now across the entire. Okay.
Hold on. Let me get my glasses out.
Saul told me what I had to ask questions about. He said you have to ask questions about new beginnings. So your question is, what was the budget for the first season of the new Lord of the Rings show? How much did they actually spend on the first season?
I saw a graphic of the intro for that show, and it looks like it's made with Microsoft Paint. I'm serious. It's just people coming into focus in the camera. But then the counter to that is people are like, this show costs X amount of money, and this is what you came up with. I think the budget for the show was $200 million.
100 mil.
300 million.
I said 250.
You guys are all way off. This is the most expensive show in history. It's actually more expensive than any movie ever made. It's $715 million.
Oh my god!
Oh my!
That is how much they spent. $250 million on only the rights to the show.
Yeah, this is how you know that they're marketing the hell out of it. I open Amazon Prime to shop on my phone or the marketplace, and an ad for the show comes up, and I have to watch a stupid trailer before I can shop.
Okay.
If I watch that trailer, it's the most Lord of the Rings I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get into it. Go ahead, Jacob. Next question.
So we're gonna go back to football here. National championship is probably changing, and in fact, it is changing in 2026. However, when was the first college football national championship?
This is like the CFP national championship, or just
no.
Like ever?
Just when was the first college football national championship ever awarded?
Well, that's a tough question, because are you talking about like just a crowned national champion or an actual game?
The first ever, according to Google, it's the first ever college football national championship. It just says
okay. So the
split.
First,
so it wasn't a game; it was split.
Okay, all right. So it wasn't a game; it was split. Shit. I'm gonna say
1956.
Way back when they talked like this and they ran down the field and go, 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 go.
There goes Gunnar Carlson running down the sideline.
Lightning McQueen. There he goes. 1934. I'm gonna say 1934.
Johnny,
I think you guys are in the wrong century. I think there's college football pre-1900s. I'll go like 1885.
Bo?
Check out Jim Thorpe with the forward pass. Let's 1925.
1869.
Whoa!
Ooh,
Johnny,
nice.
Johnny close.
That national championship was split between Rutgers and Princeton.
Oh, yes, Rutgers with No Shoes Jones.
The all-New Jersey team. There we go. Also, just FYI, the first actual ever national championship was 1998. And that was the BCS National Championship.
Yes.
It was Tennessee versus Florida State here in Tempe at ASU. So, and
did you go to the game?
I
Not
did go to the
Peyton
game.
Manning, right?
I did. No, it was the year after Peyton Manning was drafted number 1. T. Martin was their starting quarterback.
Right.
Peter Warwick was was one of the premier wide receivers in the country playing for Florida State, and Tennessee shut his ass down. I sat right behind the Tennessee Volunteer band, so I know all the words to Rocky Top. Look at that.
Warwick balled out the next BCS championship game against Mike Vick.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
All right, Jacob.
Last question. When was beer invented?
When was beer invented?
When was beer invented? When was the first known invention of beer?
Yeah, so that was actually 1237 by a guy by the name of Novak Jokic, and he created beer in Germany for his brethren.
I don't know, but I know when it was perfected, and that was 1996.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
A better question would be, when was prison wine created? When did they start making prison wine?
Not a better question. It's definitely not
toilet bowl wine. I have no idea.
I'm gonna go the 1300s.
4000 BC.
Damn.
Was the first known invention by the Sumerians.
You're telling me Jesus
Sumerians.
Christ used to stone cold a couple of cold ones there because we had some beer.
No, that was way before.
Jesus.
I thought wine didn't actually get invented until Jesus turned water into that shit. Oh, you're talking about beer. Never mind. Beer.
Yeah.
That was BC.
Yeah, it was BC.
Yeah, 4000 BC.
Damn.
Which would tell you that there was beer. Jesus had beer at his disposal.
He did.
There you go.
Sweet.
Anyways, goodbye.
All right, thanks, Jacob. Cerveza. We got something kind of cool. My guy Shane, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So we have a new partner.
That was a terrible segue by myself. I'm sorry, Shane.
We have a new partner in the house, and we'll be starting some new show ideas and a new show overall around it. It's Underdog Fantasy. I don't know if you guys have heard of this yet. I was new to it about a month ago, and I started looking at how to do it. And oh my God, I was telling the guys before the show, I am hooked already. It's a pick'em kind of game. You can also do drafts. I did a draft and I did a pick'em this morning. I'll explain how those work. So basically, for drafts, you pick out of the players that are playing in that sport today. So for the MLB, I picked a pitcher, 2 infielders, and 2 outfielders to score fantasy points. It's basically just a one-day fantasy league between 5 people. Throw $5 to win X amount of money. But you can also do player props, and it's fantastic because it's basically just a game of higher or lower. So just look at your favorite or least favorite, which I love doing, player stats, and pick whether you think they'll end up higher or lower than that number in this week's game. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night between 2 to 5 players. So if you pick 2 over-unders, you get a 3 times payout. If you pick 5 over-unders, you can get up to 20 times your money in a single game. Today, I picked a weird one. I have Paul Goldschmidt over 1.5 bases, Shea Langeliers under 5.5 fantasy points. I hate that. I hate the A's. And then G-Man Choi, my boy from the Tampa Bay Rays, over a half a hit. I just threw $5 to win 30 on that. So you can do that. And when you sign up using that promo code PHNX, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code PHNX. Get in on the action today. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. And I know I'm going to have a problem with this app. I'm going to be using all
Shane,
the time.
did you know Paul Goldschmidt used to play for the Diamondbacks here in Arizona?
Yeah, Johnny, I did.
They must have gotten a great haul for Goldschmidt.
Stop it.
Oh, here we go. All right, that's the wrong fucking show. If you want to talk about that shit, you can go to the D-back show anytime you want this week, 5 days a week. Derek and Jesse talking about that stuff, but we don't talk baseball here unless it's on Underdog Fantasy. What we do is we do tap that app, and that's the next segment right here as we talk about some of the things we love, some of the things that we think are certainties, and some of the things that we will not touch today. The props, the locks, and the drops. Prop, lock, and drop it, baby. Shane, let's go around the horn. What's your first prop of the day that you love?
So I'm looking at the NFL for next week. And I'm just doing this to spite Johnny. I think the Buffalo Bills have a great defense and a really good run defense. I'm taking Cam Akers under 41.5 rushing yards in 5 days on Thursday Night Football. I think the Bills roll, and I think the Rams do not try to run the ball after the first half. So I'm taking his under at 41.5 minus 115.
Johnny,
I disagree with you. I think Cam Akers finds the end zone for an anytime tutty at plus 125. Listen, Matthew Stafford's elbow, a little bit of a hot mess, right? They've got Allen Robinson. They've got some new pieces offensively. It's not going to look as smooth and efficient as it did in the postseason last year. I think this is back to vintage McVay, as much as I hate to say it, where the offense can be sometimes running back centric. Once upon a time with Todd Gurley being an MVP candidate, Cam Akers is finally going to bestow upon us what everybody thought he was going to be before he blew out his knee 2 years ago. He gets that anytime tutty against Buffalo. Buffalo, by the way, coming off that dismal divisional round performance that gives Patrick Mahomes and company, their defense, one of the most overrated units in the NFL. Von Miller, decrepit old Von Miller trying to stop the run. No thanks.
You called that game dismal? Johnny, are you high?
Dismal performance defensively, Shane. Dismal performance defensively.
Well, after Johnny saying all those great things about their defense, I think they get a pick. Take the over on Matthew Stafford, 0.5 interceptions. That is my prop.
No Jacuzzi Tart to drop it either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today I'm going college football today just because I want to stick with that. Arizona, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take them at a different point spread. I will take them at a plus 650 to win by 7 to 12 points. I think that's listen, if Arizona wins this game, I do believe it won't be by a point or two. I believe it will be by 7 to 10 points. And I feel like that'll be a statement. So I'm going to take that. I feel like that's easy money. My lock of the day as we go around the table is I believe Florida will beat Utah today.
Wow.
And I do believe they will do it rather convincingly because I am just not a believer in the Utah frauds.
That just hurts my soul just because of how much I love Cam Rising. I was going to take Utah minus 2.5 as my lock, but we're going a different route. We're going the Hilltoppers. I'm taking Western Kentucky minus 16 today. Love Western Kentucky's offense. Give me the Hilltoppers all day. 16-point spread. I think that's too little. I think they roll.
Notre Dame thinks they're too good for the Big Ten. Well, they're going to be kicked to the curb by Ohio State today. Lock of the day. Easiest bet you'll make all weekend. Ohio State minus 16.5. I think it's up to minus 17. Hammer it till the cows come home. CJ Stroud, we talked about it. Favorite to win the Heisman. Favorite to be drafted first overall. Notre Dame favorite to join the American Conference, the ACC, after this year because they do not belong in the Big Ten now, and I think they're going to become irrelevant. Go ahead, Pope Rock.
Look, I got a locksmith coming over and changing your lock of the week, and I'm going to switch it out for the defending national champion, Georgia Bulldogs, rolling the Oregon Ducks and Bo Nix, 16.5, 17. I don't care. You can get up to 18 if you want. They're going to roll. That's going to be easy. Bo Nix doesn't show up against big-time defenses. Give me them dogs. Woo-hoo.
Things that we're not touching today, your drops. I will start off to counter Johnny's point. I'm not touching the Notre Dame Ohio State game at all. I feel like Notre Dame is going to surprise a lot of people defensively. I think they're going to be able to hold their own. I know what Ohio State brings to the table at home. I just really like Notre Dame and their future, and I feel like this is the start of the Marcus Freeman era and the legend status that will be Marcus Freeman at the University of Notre Dame. So I'm not touching that game because I don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
Yeah, as I said earlier in the show, I have no idea what U of A's offense is going to look like. I think it's going to be better, but I don't trust the spread either way. I'm staying away from it completely. But still really excited to watch it. The 6.5 points is too much for me to think that they're going to lose by, but also too much to think that they can cover because it's around that weird mark where it's not a touchdown, it's less than. So I'm staying away from it.
Clemson at Georgia Tech. They're a 23-point favorite. Fraud Dabo. They were mediocre offensively last year, to say the least. I think Dabo's been a little bit exposed in recent years, and so Well, I think Clemson money line is.
You're not a fan of Tulalolo?
His shtick, Dabo's
Dude.
shtick is wearing me out here. Clemson's money line is like minus 2,400. That's fine, but I don't feel good one way or the other about this game. Conference game already, and you've got Clemson favored by 23 on the road. No, thank you.
I got a pair of programs that are swearing they're back each and every year, and I just don't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. So I'm just going to go with one of them. I'm going to stay away from Texas right out of the gates. I want to see more about Quinn Ewers at the quarterback position and what's the Shark has to offer as a head coach in year 2. I was looking at USC and Lincoln Riley, both 30-plus point favorites. I ain't touching either one of those games.
I do like me some USC, though. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, too. I just want to see what it looks like first.
Sure. Absolutely. That's Tap That App. Guys, we're finally going into the last portion of this show. We're all at flight risk right now, apparently. So that's what we're going to call it, flight risk right here. Before we get out of here, we give our predictions on the following topics that I have presented to you. Obviously, which of these three is most likely to pull the win? Utah, Arizona, or Oregon?
Arizona.
I like the Utes.
Shane, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, Utah for sure. 100%. And I don't think it's close out of those three. Utah's the only one that's favorited. It's got to be Utah.
Yeah, but Utah is also going to SEC country in Florida.
That doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me.
U of A is going to win today. I picked it yesterday on bets. I'll stand by it, Saul.
Okay, all right. Most season prediction for ASU. Shane, what's your season prediction for ASU?
I've hammered them over 6 wins. I think they get at least 6. Looking at their schedule, as long as they don't drop one to Eastern Michigan, who, by the way, has a very fast running back. I was watching their game last night. As long as they don't drop one, I think they at least get 6 wins. If I had to say, I think they finished the year with 8 wins pending the bowl game.
I'll go 7, and they play in like the Kmart Bowl at the end of the year.
It's a great bowl.
Great value.
I think that's good ballpark. I mean, I like the bet from Shane. So if 7 gets you there, and that would be deemed as a decent season for them.
I'm hovering around the 6 to 7 win mark. I'll you know what? I will be optimistic for you, Shane, and I will say 7 as well. I think they pull off an upset or two here or there that pushes them over the edge. But I don't like it for you. I will say that if they were to find 6 or 7 wins, that means we extend the Herm Edwards.
No, it doesn't.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
Do you
it absolutely does.
Wins?
It absolutely does, because the optimism will be high because people didn't expect them to win 6 or 7 games, and Herm Edwards will stick
I agree
around.
with you.
Oh, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's
100%.
the worst thing that could possibly happen for you.
That is not true.
Ray Anderson isn't going to fire Herm Edwards after a good season.
The disgruntled nature. The disgruntled nature of this fan base will not allow that to happen. There is no way. There is no way he gets extended if they only win 6 games. They would have to win a fucking Rose Bowl if he wants to see the field next year. They would have to win 9 games.
Get the hell out.
There is
you
no
sound like
way.
The Cardinal fans that wanted Cliff Kingsbury fired after the year, and he got to 11 wins.
You know what?
Thought he was going to be fired.
And he got an extension.
That's right.
This is talking to somebody that covers the team. And this is what I've heard. This is what I know. So if you guys don't want to listen to anything I want to say, I just won't talk about it anymore. What's the next question?
Arizona season prediction. Now that you're fired up, Shane, what do you got?
I think they win 3 to 4 games.
I think 5 wins, easily 5, maybe 6, between 5 and 6.
Oh, but they're going to be electric wins, Saul. I mean, I think this is going to be a team that's going to be at least a little bit more fun to watch. I think it's going to be a better product. But I'm looking at their schedule. It's tough. I mean, non-conference, conference. I mean, they could legitimately start 0-3.
Oh,
that'd be tough.
They absolutely could, but they could also legitimately start 2-1. You know, I don't think they're going to start 3-0. I'm not foolish enough to say that out loud. Because those are 3 solid teams. Like you're not getting around.
Don't go out on a limb like that. They're not going to start 3-0.
No, yeah. But what I will say is they are going to be improved. They were in a lot of games until like midway through the third quarter last year, and then their depth and their lack of quarterback play, and it just all fell apart. I feel like they've rectified that to a degree with their depth and their talent. So I feel like now, instead of being out of it by the end of the third quarter, they're close with 6 minutes to go. And I think in those games, you never know how it's going to turn out. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Wildcats will win 6 games this year. I think they will, they will become bowl eligible. Big turnaround from last year. Listen, Kevin Sumlin isn't recruiting players for this program anymore, and that's the best thing that could have ever happened for them. Number 2 ranked recruiting class in the Pac-12, which is unbelievable to think.
It's great.
That a team that had 1 win, and it was basically a fluke win because Cal had as many guys injured in that game for Arizona to win. So I'm going to say 6 wins because I'm a believer in what Jedd Fisch is doing. I don't believe Jedd Fisch is a great coach, but I think he's a great motivator, and sometimes that's all you need.
Well,
and
not
then,
in Arizona State's case, because that is what Herm Edwards is as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes different teams need different things, Shane.
Yeah, I think 6 wins is not only obviously good for U of A, but I think it's good for the rivalry, and I think it's good for the Pac-12. I would love.
What
to
if
see
both teams
Arizona
had the same
wins.
record when they faced each other? Oh my God.
Yeah, or one team had to get that last win to be bowl eligible.
Oh my
That
God.
would be fun. That
Oh
would be
God,
fun.
I
That
don't
would
want
be
to think
fun.
about that.
It would be fun for me because even if we were
So,
5
let me
wins
ask you
and we
this.
had to get that 6th win against ASU, even if we lost, hey, 5 wins is still a pretty good season for ASU, though.
Yeah, let me ask you this: if they win 6 wins and get into a bowl game, is Herm still a coach?
We said they have to win 7 games.
Yeah, I think 7.
7
games.
But you genuinely think that even so? This is my whole thing. Now that I'm not as
This
fired
is not
up,
this is not the ASU show.
this is my whole thing. This is the last thing I'll say on this.
I want to hear it.
The stuff that's going to come down on them. Everyone thinks all of the infractions and their discipline is going to come down at the end of the year. The way you get away from that is by firing your coach that was a part of that and getting away from that. And you're not going to keep him around to get more infractions just because he wins you 7 or 8 games a year. That's not what this program wants.
Listen, Shane, I would love to agree with you, buddy. I really would. But I literally lived through that. Like the FBI investigation for U of A basketball and Sean Miller, and not a fucking thing has happened still. Like, and it didn't happen even after, obviously, they let Sean Miller go last year, but shit, it was 3.5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing happened. I will say this. I think people are making way too big of a deal about what has happened at ASU than they should. I think they got this 1970, 80 SMU fucking death penalty mindset about the way the NCAA works. And I'm going to be frank with you. The NCAA ain't shit anymore. They're losing power left and right. These teams and the NIL deals and all this other stuff are taking all the power away from the NCAA.
Yeah,
They barely have enough room to stand on, or a leg to stand on right now. And if they shake that tree any harder, they're going to lose all the power, and all these conferences are going to go fucking ISO and do their own shit, and it's not going to matter what the NCAA has to say.
The NCAA is not going to save you from Herm Edwards.
No.
Yeah.
I will say this. My last question: what is more likely to happen? And I think I know Shane's answer. Urban Meyer coaches ASU, or Arizona makes the bowl game.
Arizona makes a bowl game. It's a pipe dream for me. I think it would be fun and chaos and make my job a lot easier because I would have a lot more to talk about. But I just don't think it's that realistic. And I think U of A is only 1 or 2 years away from being able to make a bowl game.
I think ASU would be Urban Meyer would be if he gets divorced. Like, that's his divorced dad move. He moves to Tempe, 1-bedroom apartment, getting his life back together. But ain't apartment.
Let's just say Urban
use the dollars of the big guy. He's got to go to the apartment.
Urban could do very well in Old Town Scottsdale. He could do very well in Paradise Valley.
That's a big problem.
Johnny, we've already reserved a bar stool for him at the new PHNX bar when that comes to fruition. Just so you know,
we'll make some
it's
calls.
on the corner. And on Thursday nights is college night. Urban, there you go.
There's a stanchion around it, red velvet rope.
Yeah. No photography, no
would
phones.
Clean up on and off the field with recruits and otherwise. I think it's a match made in heaven, and I think it's college football's dirty little secret that Urban Meyer's going to find out back in.
If Urban Meyer was a Four Peaks beer, what would it be?
Scottsdale Blonde. That's a different brewery, but I'm just going to say it.
He's the golden lager then.
Yeah, the golden ale. So,
or he's just a wow.
Yeah.
there you go. Wow.
He is a
There you
wow.
go. Awesome. Fellas, it's been a pleasure. Our first tailgate of the season is now in the books. You can catch us on Thursday when we come back for another NFL preseason kind of special before the first official game of the year kicks off between the Rams and who are they facing?
Bills.
The
Bills. That's right. Yeah, Josh Allen going out to LA. And then you can follow us again on Sunday as we will be live at the Lola for our first not only tailgate show, but also our first PHNX Cardinals tailgate of the season. It's going to be a blast. $20 a ticket. You get all the Four Peaks beer you want to drink. It's a great time. It's a great vibe. We're just out there to have fun, talk all the shit we want. And you'll see Johnny and Bo out there as well. Shane. It'll be a fun time. Damian Anderson will be out there. Frank Sanders, the whole crew. So come join us. Have fun. Sunday at the Lola.
And if you want to get tickets for the Cardinals game right after that, use the Game Time app to get them. If you're at the stadium, you can get them super cheap at a discounted price. It's an app that Sean and I use frequently to go to D-backs games. You can get up to 60% off your tickets last minute. And if you want to help us, if you love PHNX, you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description, either on audio or on YouTube. So make sure to click that link in the description. It's just the best ticketing app there is.
And before we take off, I've been on this horse all day. I'm going to continue to ride it. My DraftKings pick of the week is Arizona 7-12 over the San Diego State Aztecs. That's the pick of the week for me. I feel like that's plus 650. Hey, take it. It's easy money today. I believe that the Wildcats will turn it around. And like Shane said, 60% off on the Game Time app as well. If you're going to go to any of these games, highly encourage it. It's fantastic. I used it the other day to go to the ASU game. $10 tickets to get me fifth row from the 50-yard line. How can you beat that? Like, you just can't. So for Johnny, for Shane, for Bo, I'm Saul. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on Thursday before NFL kickoff. Thank you. Bye-bye.